Hello again. So I went and did something. I looked at yesterday's video, the one I did yesterday. It's all right. The thing that most concerned me is that during a lot of it, you could only see half of what I was working on because of the camera angle, and I didn't know exactly where it was zoomed in on. So today I fixed a shelf that's sort of above my workbench. I made it a little bit. I changed the board that makes up the shelf, and I screwed a little basically a little piece of strap brass to the top of it, and then used a hose clamp to hose clamp my tripod to the scrap brass. I won't show it to you. It's yeah, you'll make fun of me if I actually show you what it looks like. But I did use a hose clamp, so that'll kind of tell you what kind of desperation I was into to make something that'll make a little bit of a better video for you today. I'm working on the same two cars. The other thing I did is I positioned this green mat right underneath where the camera is, so I know that if it's on the green mat, you should be able to see it. So it'll be a little bit better today. At least I hope it'll be a little bit better today. So what I'm working on, the same cars. As you can see, the shiny spot where I glued this little bracket back on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with a wash, like a weathering wash. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to hit it with some denatured alcohol. So I tried this before, and it had a really cool effect. So I'm going to use basically this Walmart brand 70% alcohol, pour a little bit in this cup of water. I'm going with the 70%, not the 90%, because I don't want to absolutely destroy the thing. I don't need much. So, but what I did this before. It was a really cool effect to fade a paint job I had, and that's just simply to brush alcohol on it. Just enough. And hopefully kind of take away some of that shine. And when I'm done taking away the shine, and I will try to speak louder so people can hear me. No more mumbling. One of the things I'm learning. Not mumble. It's still wet, so if I brush it on enough times, it's gonna take that shine away. Also going to work on this flat car. Got this piece of chain that I painted yesterday. I think what I'm going to do is glue the chain down here, and this is going to be like, I don't know, I'm just looking for details to put on this thing, make it look like a work car. And there's the chain that gets laying there, the chain that they use to strap stuff down with occasionally. Sometimes pull something out of the way, whip somebody with. Who knows? But the obligatory chain laying on the deck of a flat car. Look, I'm gonna go for that. I think I'm gonna glue it down with white glue, because when I do stuff with super glue, sometimes the super glue, I'm gonna put my the cheater glasses on to give me a little more magnification. Poor eyesight. It's not what it used to be. It used to be all about, for a while, putting on some details, brake rigging and grab irons, and I drill out the holes and I put in the grab irons. I still do sometimes, but as I get older, my fingers get a little shakier, and hands get a little clumsier, my eyes get a little worse. Well, my eyes getting worse means I can't see it to begin with, so what's the point of putting something on I can't see, right? I'll put on just a little bit of white glue. White glue, just standard school glue. Actually, I guess there's a difference between school glue and white glue. Don't know what it is. Looked it up one time. Wasn't a big deal, but I don't know if this, the bottle says school glue, but I know that I've filled it up a few times. But it's actually a pretty good modeling glue. It's cheap, it's non-toxic, and you can glue all kinds of materials with it. So I glued the end of it down, so I'm going to get that secure and then kind of coil it up the way that I look, the way that I want it to look. And probably what I'm going to do is use some diluted white glue or maybe some matte medium or something to kind of secure it to the deck. And as you can see, some of the blackening or the paint is worn off the chain a little bit, so I'm probably gonna have to touch it up with a fine brush, some black paint or some rust or something. So I'm gonna put this aside while the glue dries. Take a look at this one more time, maybe, and it's a little more dull. Let's get some of this alcohol again. Put it on, wet it down. I don't know, I did this on a diesel locomotive shell, and it really gave a nice faded paint look. Really worked well. Definitely going to be trying that technique again. Took a little patience. Didn't just go on with one application, but this, once I kind of get it a little dull, I'm going to go shoot for the weathering wash, my all-purpose weathering wash. So I don't know if you know what like a hobo stew is, or heard one of the stories about some restaurant that's had the same pot of soup going for decades, where they just keep adding to it and never turn the thing off. Well, that's sort of like what my weathering wash is. Started out as a mixture of probably alcohol or blue windshield washer fluid, some black or gray paint. I add to it every now and then if the color doesn't seem right, or sometimes I basically paint something else and then I just wash my brush in it. So it's sort of like, it's probably by now about 5 years mix of just doing it and redoing it. And it's, well, one thing it does, it keeps consistency. So if I'm doing a whole bunch of rolling stock or weathering stuff, it kind of gives the same color pattern to everything I do. But also, like, I mean, I'm not an expert weatherer. Right? There's guys on YouTube who make stuff look like exactly like the stuff that I could see down the street at the freight yard. I don't like stuff to be shiny, but I don't particularly like things. I'm not a perfectionist. I don't need it to look exactly right. It's just I don't have the patience, and I just want it to look cool, you know. So make it look like it's gone down the rails for a few years. This car in particular, because it's, you know, a work car, I want it to look a little like it's taken some damage. So I put that on. We'll see what it does. That's sort of like my black wash, and I kind of put it over everything. I mean, I really do. Nothing goes down my rails that's not weathered at least a little bit. And one thing weathering does, it hides all the screw ups, places where just like that, where the glue was a little thick, or, you know, got a little heavy handed with it. So I see if there's any other areas I want to kind of hit. That area right here looks it needs a little work. A little shiny over here. I feel like Bob Ross. I'm just telling stories as I'm building trains. Interesting about Bob Ross. When I was a kid, that's what you watched. I guess it was probably Sunday morning, maybe. It was on probably, I don't know, 7 in the morning. I think the regular hours around here were probably daytime, of course, when I was at school, but in the weekends they would show it. Bob would come on in the morning. My brother would wake up really early, early riser, crack of dawn, and he'd go out and turn on TV, and of course wake me up because we shared a bedroom, but go out there and we'd watch Bob Ross instead of watching whatever cartoon was on, and that's what we did. We just kind of zoned out, and we kind of thought it was cool, or I thought it was cool, that, you know, probably a lot of people thought it was cool, that he just kind of just was creative, that wasn't quite sure what he wanted to paint, and he would just start doing it, and you just kind of always wonder, like, what's gonna come off of his paintbrush today. And he'd sit there and he'd tell stories about squirrels and happy little trees, and that was, I like that more than any cartoon, and not just the painting, but his little stories and just his demeanor, you know, just a gentle soul, painting landscapes mostly. I don't think I ever saw him paint like a animal or a person. It was always the unoccupied cabin in the middle of the woods next to a stream or lake someplace, mountain in the background. So what I'm using this paint, what's this brand? Tamiya paint. It's an acrylic paint. They make acrylic, and they make a lacquer paint. But I like this brand a lot, and usually it's pretty fair price. This bottle was $3.39 at the hobby shop. Hobby shop that's close to me closed down, so I got to drive all the way across a big city, and I don't particularly like to do that. So I don't buy much more of this stuff. I probably should, because I like it a lot. One thing that's nice, it's a wide bottle, doesn't tip over. But what I used is, it's actually, what is this one? Smoke. But it kind of dries like an oily black color. I don't have an oily black color, it used to. But I did it on the trucks on this one. I think it looks cool, like where the oil seeped out of the bearings. That looks really cool, so I do it on both of them. So let's take a look at our, yeah, it's dulled up some. But let's go back and hit it again with the wash. The ultimate goal is to make a nice looking weathered car. Now, I also used to like to sit and just watch my parents do stuff. So whether it be my mom in the kitchen, or she did a lot of crafting stuff, I like to watch her do it. My dad fixing stuff, and sometimes I'd just sit, what we used to call Indian style, I guess now they call it crisscross applesauce, on the garage floor while my dad's fixing the brakes, or I don't know, changing the muffler bearings, or whatever he's doing on the car. And I enjoyed it. I'd sit there and talk to him, listen to him, learn something. Now I fix my own car, so I guess it rubbed off. And it's a good time doing it. Way more enjoyable than many other things. Just to sit, watch somebody do something. So this same thing, this is my all-purpose rust solution. Don't even remember what colors went into it. Yeah, it stinks. Anyway, I should probably shake it up. Maybe I should dump it out. I don't like the smell of that. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it should smell. Yeah. Anyway, same thing. Probably started out as some color that I thought was kind of rust colored, and mixed it with a little alcohol or the blue windshield washer fluid. And if the color didn't seem right, I'd add a little to it. And sometimes it wouldn't bother to clean out my paintbrush after I did the black wash, so a little black would get in there. And this thing's been going for years, and it's kind of like got all this nasty stuff on the side where like it's coagulated, and it kind of makes a cool effect sometimes, because what happens is the little coagulations form little bit of texture, a little tiny little bit of texture, and it's like sort of like the rust bubbling up. There's people that do really good rust jobs on YouTube or whatever, and I'm not one of them. I just like to have fun. That's what it's about, is having fun and enjoying myself. And don't let the nitpickers nitpick. So this, probably need to wait a little bit longer on this. And it's sticking down. So what I'm going to do, maybe stick. I recognize that I'm pulling stuff a little bit close to my body where you probably can't see it. I'm going to have to practice not getting stuff out of view. So maybe I'll put another little drop of glue there, drag the chain on it, and keep doing like that, maybe. I have little toothpicks, a little piece of wire. Yeah, my toothpick stash is gone. What do I have? I use a finishing nail. Come on. Get a little drop on here. A little drop. And I'm just going to put it somewhere with my shaky hands. Move it. Chain over onto it. And I guess I'm going to slowly work on it. Slowly work it into where I want it to be. One little spot at a time. I want it to be fastened down. I don't like things to be loose. I like them to be fastened down because I've got clumsy hands, and you know, kids pick it up sometimes too, and I don't want stuff to be breaking off and somebody picking it up on the floor and saying, "What the hell is this?" So just gonna let these things dry. This is the other thing I was working on. These are the barrels that I was mentioning yesterday that I made out of those little wood dowel pins. I guess I got them at Home Depot. Somewhere I got the box that they came in, and I can show you the brand and the size or whatever, but I don't know where the box went. Maybe I threw it out. But they're basically little tapered pins. They come in different sizes, different types of wood. And I just sand the backs of them till they're flush, glue them back to back. And these I've painted. Then I'm going to glue little paper bands around them. And so 4 bands. And then it makes a nice little barrel, especially once you weather it up. I don't have one handy that's all done, but I will make a video of putting these together. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few barrels in here. And then I got these are coffee stirrers. I think some pieces of pipe. Just random assortment of pipes that the workers use to do whatever they need to do with pipes. Figured they would look good in my flat car. These are coffee stirrers. I made a nice pipe load out of coffee stirrers one time for an HON3 flat car. My wife bought a bunch of these for, I don't know what the reason was anymore, but she bought a whole bunch of them and probably used one of them or just a couple or whatever it was. It didn't work out, but so we had a box of them at one time, and I took a whole bunch of them to use around the layout. They're the right size for like an HO scale, like drill casing maybe, or you know, just I'd say it's probably 9 scale inches or something in diameter. The problem is they're made of that slippery plastic that nothing wants to stick to. I've had a little bit of luck sticking it with some, let me find a paintbrush, sticking it with some that one will probably be all right. Sticking acrylic paint to it. So again, this is my craft paint, and I'm just gonna paint these. And the reason I'm painting them is because that I don't want that glossy look. I want a dull slightly rusted, like it's been sitting out and beat on with, you know, in the dirt looking piece of pipe that's been used, abused, been around the block. So I'm painting them, not being too particular about getting it on smooth. Or I'm just going to lay them down on the paper towel. They'll probably pick up little pieces of dirt as they roll around, and that's not a bad thing. So I'll paint my pipes. Paint my pipes. Paint them black, and I'll run them through the old weathering treatment. Kind of make it look like a crusty old pipe. Glue them into the flat car. I think the last time I did this, I might have spray painted them, like stuck them down with some tape to a piece of cardboard and with a rattle can of silver. And it looks nice. Nice flat car load I made. Too bad I don't have it handy to show it to you right now. But once I get done with this, you'll get the picture. Trying to making YouTube videos, and the whole point of doing this is to just encourage me to sit at my workbench, do a little modeling, do a little thinking, just be creative. You know, like, I don't know how YouTube works, but I guess people get paid. You get enough subscribers or whatever, and enough views, they pay enough money to maybe buy some groceries with, or I don't know, there's some people that make a lot of money. It's not really my goal here. I didn't even know what the point of subscribing was until I watched a video that says like, oh yeah, subscribing is how I keep this channel going. I said, oh really? I never thought to subscribe. I just thought I'd be getting spam emails or something if I hit subscribe, and I didn't want that. So I'd watch all these people all the time and doing stuff. Never hit subscribe until recently, and then now there's a few people that I watch regularly. Again, building stuff, going places. Who knows? I think a lot of stuff on YouTube is people playing video games. Not my thing. Never has been my thing. More power to you if it is your thing, because it's a big industry. But I mean, I enjoy model trains. I've done this my whole life. I mean, literally my whole life. Since I was, before I can remember. Probably had HO scale train by the time I was 5 years old, maybe. Still have parts of it, actually. Still, I mean, none of it looks like it did, you know, when I got it back in whatever year that was, 1981. But the very first piece of HO equipment was, I think it was a lifelike spotlight caboose. One of those ones where you drive around the track and the spotlight shines. I got it from my grandparents, probably Christmas gift. And I had it sitting around sort of in my junk parts. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. Didn't run anymore, you know. It's just basically the shell. I don't think I had the bottom. The wheels probably broke, or I don't know what was, you know. But it never ran right, so never ran it. But I saved it. Couldn't bear to throw it away. Years down the road, I looked at the back of the thing, the caboose part, not the flat car part, but the part with the cupola and whatever. I said, you know, that's about the right size for a nice little HON3 caboose. So I cut that part off, made a frame for it, and now it rolls down my HON3 tracks. My favorite little caboose. My very first piece of HO equipment. So these are painted up now. Kind of clean my brush off. I'm gonna let them dry before I put the weathering stuff on. I can go back over here and check out my chain. Let's move this out of the way. Oh, there's my toothpick. Look at that. Sitting right underneath my paper towel. So I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to letter these El Paso Southwestern. So at one point in time, El Paso Southwestern was a pretty important railroad in New Mexico and southern Arizona. They were owned by the Phelps Dodge Copper Company, and basically the railroad was built in order to haul the ore from the mines to the smelters, to the markets, so on and so forth. So they decided, well, we're going to control not just the production, but the transportation of our goods. And that went along fine until the price of copper went to the toilet after World War I, and a bunch of mines closed or got mothballed. And one of the things that happened was El Paso and Southwestern was sold off to Southern Pacific. So the old EP and SW lines became subsidiaries of the Southern Pacific. Most of the equipment became folded into the SP. A lot of the steam engines of the SP ran were former El Paso Southwestern. I mean, the line was gone by the early 1920s, so you don't see very much model equipment lettered for it. Not many people model that time frame anyway, but that in a rather obscure railroad. So you don't see too much of it. There's one company, I think it's K4 Decals I bought, that makes El Paso Southwestern decals. I bought some to letter a steam locomotive and a caboose and some boxcars, all some unlettered stuff. So I'm going to have a whole train. I have a whole train of El Paso Southwestern stuff. It's one of those railroads that also are those, well, there's more than one, but you know, it's one of those that has sort of like a dark part of American history associated with that railroad. And I don't know the whole details, but you can, if you want to search it up, the Bisbee deportation. Bisbee was a mining town, it is a mining town. Well, it's not a mining town anymore. It's basically a arts community, I guess, these days. But that looks good. Anyway, there was a mine strike. I don't remember what year. It 19 something, 18, 17. But anyway, I guess they decided to break the strike up by deporting the striking workers, hauling them across the border into Mexico in cattle cars. And it's kind of an ugly part of U.S. history, but an important one to learn about. Oh, look at that. So now you can see a little bit of rust on that chain, and hey, that part up there still is a little glossier than I want. But you know, if I hit that with some dull coat, that's going to go away. And it kind of looks like it's been welded on. The little bracket. It looks cool. A little rust up there around the top. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to finish this video up, but next time I think I'm probably going to put the decals on. So I'm going to look through my decal bin to see what I got that's going to fit on here, and show you my technique for putting on decals. Again, it's one of those things that I'm not an expert on. It's something I'm kind of new to doing, but I like doing decals much better than dry transfers or just lettering. And I've got some that I think will fit and look nice on there, and I will show you my technique next time, tomorrow night probably. So with that, I say good night.